I've not actually been directly involved in education, but my work has helped me to see that there is a gap in education in our country. I come from Nigeria, and I'm in human resource management, but I do a lot of interviewing. And in interviewing young people coming out of the universities, I've found that there is a huge gap in knowledge. I've also found that many of the corporate organizations have set up their own training schools to try and fill this gap. And when I'm interviewing young people, I find that there are many, many things that they don't know. They are learning very often by rote. They are memorizing things and not actually, they actually don't know how to implement things. And it's all just regurgitating things, but it's not making an impact. There are many things that they don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. Well, I'm starting in a small way, and I'm saying, me, my organization, we've started to bring young people into the office, small groups, 10, 12, 15, and just talking to them face to face about the things that they would like to be doing, trying to find out from them where they see themselves, and trying to help them to understand that there is a gap in where they are and where they need to go. We also want to start to build a website where we can engage them and they can take themselves through self-learning programs, giving them back that quest for knowledge and the initiatives and the things that are missing. One of the biggest things that I find that is missing is, the issues of, values, ethics, integrity. I can give you an example. I was interviewing a young man for a job, and at the end of the interview, he'd done very well. And then I said to him, can you describe for me one thing that you've done that you're very proud of? And he thought for a while, and then he said, well, it was when I helped someone to do an exam. And I didn't understand it initially. I thought he meant he had helped someone to study for an exam, but no, he had sat the exam for someone. And that was what he was most proud of. I then spent the next 15 minutes trying to explain to him why it was wrong. And then he says, well, if you put it like that, if you look at it like that, I can understand. But if I didn't do that exam, that guy would never have passed. And I just thought, my goodness, he doesn't even understand. And, it's a whole system. So I'm looking at education because I think that's a way to try and correct that, and also to help these young people to find something in themselves that they can put out there and help to improve the nation. And we're actually looking at a group that is from the ages of 16 to 26. That's the age group we want to target because we can't do it all. Well, that's the one thing I've been struggling with, actually. I've been trying to think about, what can this group help with, as I go back to my country. And the one thing that keeps coming into my mind is mentoring. Mentoring these young people as we get them onto a technical platform, technology, on the internet. Try and identify the top performers, the best ones, and engage more with them. Find a way to bring them into a classroom and engage with some of the people in this room, if they would be prepared to give their time, and start to handhold them and pull them into the positions where we see them going because of the potential they're showing. That's the only thing that I can think of. I'm sure when I think about it a lot more and I actually start working on the programs, it may become clearer. But there are a lot of people at this conference that can help and that can do a lot to help us. Well, when I think about corruption, I think about how did we get here? It's no longer, it's become endemic. It's almost in the DNA, to the extent that there's an attitude that every Nigerian is corrupt. And, I remember actually having a business meeting with somebody, and he was talking about doing things under the table, and I said, no, we don't do that. And he said, well, you're not really in business then. If you're doing business in Nigeria and you're not doing those things, then you're not in business or you're not serious about business. And I was very, very angry. But as time went on, I started to understand why he thought that. And then I started to think, how did we actually get here? How did we get to the point where this is the way it's done, or you're not going to move forward? And I thought to myself, I think it goes back to morals, ethics, and an erosion of some of those values. It's also some of the things that our children see all around them and on the internet. And dare I say, closing down the mission schools. The mission schools, even for people who were not Christians, emphasized values, morals, ethics, integrity, principles from the Bible, and they were part of the guidance. They were part of the way people grew up, and they got into higher colleges, and those morals stayed with them. And then those schools were closed down completely, and nothing was put in place to replace them. There was nothing. And I also think that was the beginning of the decline of the educational system. And it got to the point where anything goes. We have a situation where some parents go and sit exams for their children. We have situations where, and for me, doing the interviewing, trying to interview for clients, I see the end results. They're coming in trying to get a job. They have never done an exam. They don't know anything. How are they going to work? How are they going to come into the workplace? And I see a whole generation. We have 60% of our population under the age of 25. And I think to myself, this can't go on, because it's terrifying to think about what the future will be if we do not address it. The other thing is lack of employment. And that's partly because, it's not that there are no jobs, but many of them are not employable. 75% of the people who graduate are not likely to get regular jobs. They will have to find other ways of doing things. And some of them just find under-the-table ways, and we have to turn it round. We have to get the morals back. We have to get the ethics back. We have to get people back to a point where they have a sense of self-worth, and you don't have to do things that way. And for me, I just thought with 60% of the population being under 25, we have to start with getting them back on track. And, that's where all of that started for me. My hope would be to see an Africa where the young people who have dreams can fulfill those dreams. An Africa where they can take the initiative for their own lives, for tomorrow, and pass things on to a new generation. There are a lot of very, very bright young people, but many of them don't see the hope. I would like to give them back that hope so that they can achieve their own potential. That's really what I would like to see.